I am the Philosophical Bachelor, and today I want to talk about whether people are amazing. Have you ever solved a Rubik's Cube? I was maybe 5 or 6 years old in the early 80s when the cube first came onto the market. My parents, though not big on spending money, got our family one to share. We all managed to solve one side without too much difficulty, but of course the aim was to solve all 6 sides completely. I recall my exasperation and not being able to, throwing it across the dining table during a meal. That didn't end well for me. As an adult, out of the blue, I thought about the cube. Maybe it was when I was trying out things I did not manage to do as a kid, like playing the piano, and thought, hey, how about solving the cube as well? It was hard to find a shop selling it a decade ago, though it has since seen a well-deserved resurgence in popularity. I tracked down a place, drove over there specially to buy just one cube. It was a speed cube, so not the original Rubik's brand, but had better joints. I knew it would take me forever to figure it out just by thinking, and so I took some days to practice and then memorize all the steps from a cheat sheet I got from the web instead. I brought it everywhere. I solved it on the bus, even at a funeral, or was it a wedding? I was rather pleased with myself, though the cube had since vanished and I no longer remember the brute force algorithm. During my learning, I realized that there are people who have taken things over the top with the cube. At my best, I think I might have taken 20 minutes. Compare that with the world record, which is just a sliver over 3 seconds. I've seen videos of people solving a wall of cubes blindfolded, underwater with their feet, solving several cubes while juggling them, all incredible feats that are honestly pretty mind-blowing. Having spent some time with the cube, I know it must have taken a lot of time and effort and a superb memory for these people to get to that level of competence. And I wonder, is it worth it? What's the point? But I think that's the thing about people. We take something, anything really, and we push it to the limits of human ability. Then sometimes we push some more and achieve what was thought impossible, like the 4-minute mile, or beyond our ordinary imagination, like solving the Rubik's Cube using just the feet. We write incredibly difficult piano pieces that would take a massive hand to play, that seem impossible to play until someone plays it. We dream up complex stories, so rich in detail that a whole new world is built, and when someone reads it, they wonder, how did that author even manage to think this up? We set ourselves tasks that will require superhuman abilities, and then someone does it, like being underwater for almost 12 minutes, or free diving, that is, without the aid of air tanks, to depths of over 130 meters. Just so you understand, amateur scuba diving, even at advanced level, is less than half that depth. If there was a taller mountain than Everest, you can be sure someone is on their way to conquer it. It first occurred to me just how amazing people can be when I watched a bullfight. I know, bullfighting is rather gory and cruel, with the bull having zero chance of winning. It is basically one bull fighting a team of people on horses with swords and spears. It is savage, and precisely it is amazing that such a thing can be conceived and thought fit for entertaining people. I have to admit, it was entertaining after you got used to the gore. When I saw my first Formula 1 race in Kuala Lumpur, the same idea hit me. That we take a mundane activity like driving, and then push the envelope till we achieve speeds over 300 km per hour, with the drivers needing to keep their reflexes on edge for close to 2 hours. It may not look like it, but the drivers' heart rates are close to their maximum. The exertion is severe, and just imagine the heat from the car engine, the fire retardant suit, and the hot climate when racing in countries like Malaysia, Dubai, or Singapore. Just when you think we are at the limits of human capability, records keep falling. We run and swim faster than ever, jump higher, develop better machines, compose ever more difficult music. We bring the everyday to the level of art, such as food, where chefs train for years under harsh and demanding conditions to produce, with the finest ingredients, the most exquisite flavors presented in the most elegant fashion for the most discerning palate. If you play a musical instrument, I think you might sympathize with this next bit. Consider how musicians make it look so easy and natural when they are jamming or performing, while I can hardly play my simpler pieces completely correctly all by myself after months of practice. Even mundane regular things like how you can order a toothbrush that has to come all the way from a factory in a town you have never heard of in China, crossing the high seas to arrive at your doorsteps a couple of days later for almost no charge in transportation and cheaper than in the shops. How amazing is that? What coordination and systems it must have took to make all that happen, something even kings wouldn't have enjoyed 100 years ago. Back to the Rubik's Cube. What make those record holders of the Rubik's Cube devote themselves like that to what seems like a rather pointless and non-transferable skill? It isn't as if it was chess, where there are prestigious championships and titles like Grandmaster to attain. But if you think about it, the same can be said of basketball, rowing, football, bowling, weightlifting, any sport really. What is the point of that? But there is a point. The point is to be the best, or even just among the best in something, not to mention the recognition and the money. But not all sports get massive payoff, such as curling, bodybuilding, telemark skiing, or figure skating. You must have seen those videos of people who lob ping pong balls into the narrow necks of bottles, or build complicated structures made of matches and then set them ablaze. Balancing rocks on top of one another, or making huge sand drawings on the beach only for the waves to wash them away. These seem like exercises in futility. Or are they? I want to tell you about two more experiences I had which made me really think about this. The first is a YouTube channel, Shonky Wonky Donkey, where he sang songs from popular artists like Radiohead, but every instrument is just his voice alone, including the drums and guitars, etc. On first listen, it was weird as heck, but the level of detail he captured is impressive. Then I thought about how long it must have taken him to first listen closely to each part, conceptualize how he was going to produce the weird sounds, such as distortions common in Radiohead's music, record it and then mix it all together. I don't even know how he keeps the time on each bit such that it is all on tempo, and then why he even did it. After all, Radiohead already produced it, and I think he would admit that his take on it isn't an improvement, but at best a good, unique imitation, but an imitation nonetheless. It was different and I enjoyed it precisely because I was familiar with Radiohead's music and appreciated his attention to detail. It even made me notice things I had never even heard before until I heard Shonky Wonky Donkey's version. I have now heard his version of OK Computer multiple times and it has over 1 million views. More power to him. Here's the next thing. I had the good fortune of seeing a sand mandala being created to celebrate Vesak Day, a day that celebrates the birth, enlightenment and death of Gautama Buddha. Tibetan monks sit on a platform, scraping and pouring slowly through very thin funnels coloured sand to create an intricate, colourful, geometric representation of spiritual universes. It takes a team of monks weeks to complete it. The completed work can be admired for a short while, and then after that, it is ritually dismantled by the monks who will sweep up the sand into jars to be poured onto the beach or into a river to send the mandala's healing energies to all sentient beings. It might seem bizarre as the rock balancing and beach of pavement chalk paintings which will vanish with the winds, rains and tides. But perhaps that is the point. Life, art, all things are after all ephemeral. To put in the effort to create the work of beauty but not to cling to them, not to be attached to them because that creates karma, but to nevertheless do the good work without expectations, is in itself liberating since the fear of not being rewarded and the desire for rewards are gone. This teaching is found in Hinduism and Buddhism. Doing things for their own sake, with no further expectations, is also taught in philosophy, from Taoist philosophy to Georges Bataille, from Arthur Schopenhauer to the French existentialists like Simone de Beauvoir and Albert Camus. I have another point to make on these seeming acts of futility. From the comments on the videos recording the difficult and time-consuming acts such as throwing a paper airplane through a small hoop of fire to land smoothly on top of a wedding cake with its tips on fire. Yes, I made this one up. It seems to many to be an inane and insane waste of time, effort, and perhaps money. I had these thoughts myself. Some of the video makers have gone on to become massive TikTok or YouTube channels, which then brings monetary rewards. And indeed, some of the acts are actually rather imaginative. At first they were of silly and relatively simple tasks like throwing an upside down bottle of water for it to land right side up. Then the end kept getting raised, the way people do that, until it becomes more like throwing axes through as many balloons as possible. Or like I said about Shonky Wonky Donkey singing, if that is what we can call it, of all the bits of pop music. The fact is, who can say what is useful or useless? To some, playing sports might seem a rather dissipative activity, but just look at the PGA or the NBA money list. These golfers and basketball players make more money than top brain surgeons or lawyers or whatever it is that the critics or the sobber say are useful activities. Parents from previous generations would burst a blood vessel if their kids told them they want to become professional video gamers or influencers, but today it has become a viable career. These were jobs unheard of just 15 or 20 years ago, but the top ones today rake in millions, some doing rather run-of-the-mill stuff like reviewing toys. I'm not advocating that people should drop their jobs and become YouTubers, TikTokers, Twitterers, or what have you. I'm saying that what the world needs are people trying all sorts of different things. Some of them may seem odd, banal, even senseless or crazy. But without some people experimenting and trying out all sorts of things, the useful ones will not emerge. Imagine the first person to plug in a guitar to an amplifier, or a guy putting wheels on shoes, or some kids sitting in their parents' garage, assembling a computer and writing some code on it before coding was a thing. Imagine the first person strapping 2 strips of wood to their feet and then going downhill with it. Today we call that skiing. But let us not romanticize all such ideas. There could be real visceral danger involved in some of these stunts. People have died taking selfie videos in dangerous situations. Hell, people have fallen down staircases, into lakes or fountains, or banged into poles and pillars, watching videos of people doing these stunts. And while I don't have any statistics, many more people must have gotten nowhere with their experiments than have found any kind of monetary success. Even for the ones who succeeded, I don't know if they ever made any money from it, like the person who invented skiing for instance. If they however found pleasure from their creations or from the act of creating, that perhaps already makes it worth the while. If they did not and did it all in the hope of making money or gaining fame without deriving any pleasure from the activity itself, well, I hope they learned something from that experience. Even for those that succeed, they may then be pushed into making and recording more pointless and more dangerous stunts even when it is past the point of fun for them, losing their soul in pursuit of the moolah. It has happened to rock stars, famous actors and actresses, and writers, and so I imagine it happens to TikTokers also. So I was talking about how people can be amazing in the sense that we can take one thing and keep pushing it further and further, like food to culinary art, or regular Rubik's Cube solving to solving several while juggling them. It can bring tremendous progress when this compulsion, yes, compulsion is what I suspect it to be, is directed at the right place, but it can also be a force for destruction. Think compulsive gambling, where one more game might turn around a night of losses but never does. Or obsessions with aliens, ghosts, or UFOs making ordinary people seem deranged. Or experimentation with chemicals to hit the next higher high, leading to death by overdose or poisoning. It happens also to the most dedicated professionals. Think forex or commodity traders snorting cocaine just to stay awake or to have an edge. Sports people taking performance-enhancing drugs, which may be life-shortening and career-destroying if found out, but medal-winning. Plagiarism in research circles because one is in a dry spell on ideas and so steal other people's instead. Or inventing more and more powerful explosives and weapons until it risks destroying life on the planet completely. Consider J. Robert Oppenheimer's "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds," when he witnessed the first detonation of the atom bomb. Or working to get a top job to the extent of betraying friends, neglecting family and harming one's health. From TV shows, movies and books, That seemed almost natural, just all in a day's work. The characters have a long arduous day at work and after that hang out some more to talk shop, drink and network late into the night. They don't seem to have family, or if there are spouses and kids, they don't feature. They don't seem to have any other interests other than work. We celebrate such overwork in TV shows like House of Cards or The Bear, where the pressure never lets up, or movies like The Devil Wears Prada or The House of Gucci, where anyone getting in the way will be ran over. We enjoy these shows, these movies, because it reminds us, moves us, to know that out there are people doing their damnness, their best, to be the best. Then there is the guilt when one does not manage to become the best at what she does devote herself to doing. The fact is, there is only one world's best. In addition, not everyone can become the best simply because not everyone has the same level of ability, no matter how much passion you may have for your chosen field. It can be that even if you are willing to go through all sorts of sacrifices and spend every waking moment since you were a child trying to run fast, you never achieve that level of excellence required for the Olympics. Even if you had a suitable physique, long legs, strong muscles, etc., so do others. And then there could be the possibility that you do not or are not willing to put in enough effort to make it to that level. You are not willing to push yourself to breaking point where you give up everything and everyone else just to make it. And then you feel guilty that you did not, that you chose work-life balance instead of work consuming completely your life. But could it be that the goal you chose is simply not the one you can be really good at? Perhaps you are too thin to be a top sumo wrestler, but you have the smarts and compassion to be a great teacher. Or perhaps you are never going to be among the world's best in whatever you do. But that is okay also. There are enough people out there trying to be the world's best in something. You don't have to join their ranks, but find your happiness in your own way. Actually, all of us can be the world's best in something. You can be the world's best version of you. You are unique and you can be the best you that you can be. Now, isn't that something? Perhaps the challenge for most of us is not to be world beaters, but to be simply the best versions of ourselves. The fact is, it takes years of dedication to get to a high level of performance. To be the best is a confluence of talent and hard work, and even then there are no guarantees. Even to be second best, heck, to even get to play at a high level takes a lot. We don't all have the appetite, the capability, and the willingness to do what it takes. For those who do, is it worth it? It is worth it if you think it is worth it. Not if the public, your family, your friends think it is worth it, but if you honestly and sincerely think it is worth it. If you can in good conscience say that it has made the world a better place overall, or at least not a worse one. If you enjoyed the journey and not just when you have reached your goals, since if that is the case, you may be setting yourself up for disappointment. The rewards may not feel as fantastic as you had imagined. Or you might not make it. But even if you don't, by competing, by trying to be the best you can be, you have already pushed things forward in your field. Because there are people like you, it propels others to also try to be the best they can be. In participating in this human endeavor of excellence, you elevate the field. It might seem like a weak consolation, but it is real. And that is why you must enjoy the journey, because otherwise it isn't worth it. By enjoying the journey, I do not mean that each moment of the journey will be pleasurable. There will be difficult times, painful ones even, and setbacks, but that you find the journey meaningful and that you learn and you grow in knowledge, skills, and as a person, such that you find it worthwhile to continue on the journey, even with the knowledge of possible failure. As Soren Kierkegaard has explained, we can only know if we succeed or fail at the end of the story, not at the beginning. If you do try, you at least have a chance. If you do not even try for fear of failure, then for sure you will not succeed. Besides, many things in real life are not like sports, which is a winner takes all, only the goal matters and the rest are also rand's affair. In most other fields, such as the arts, music, writing, and other professions, there can be many excellent actors, writers, doctors, lawyers, pianists, singers, and so on, and not just one world's best. You may even invent a whole new category to be the best or among the best at. Once again, you never try, you never will know. There are more than enough naysayers in the world. We need dreamers, don't you think? Besides, we change as people as we proceed on our life journey. What we learn along the way and the experiences we undergo inform how we value things. So our goals change. We find new projects after completing previous ones. At times we desire new experiences. At other times we enjoy the security of repetition. Sometimes we want to be challenged. Sometimes we are overwhelmed by challenges and want them to stop, such as when life throws us curveballs and we are unable to cope. In conclusion, the drive in people to excel can be a force for progress and innovation, but can also be deleterious when directed towards destruction and harm. It can be depressive for those who are unable to excel in their chosen area. What seems silly and useless may turn out to be not so useless after all, but that is a big may. To excel takes a lot from us, and to sustain that level of dedication and sacrifice, we must enjoy the journey since the rewards are uncertain. Whatever rewards, whatever accomplishments, are ultimately ephemeral. Let us strive in our projects for a net benefit to the world as opposed to a net harm. If it is something important to us, we gotta keep at it, to keep on trying. If we don't, I guess we have just demonstrated it isn't that important anyway. And that's okay. Figuring out what is and what is not important, not valuable to us, is in itself important. And there is no need to get disheartened. There isn't one definition of success. Sometimes we got to invent our own definition of success. Remember, people are amazing.